right, it's my pleasure to welcome in our next guest here on Section 415, the manager of the Oakland Ballers, Antioch native, former Major League Baseball player, World Series winner, Aaron Miles. Aaron, thanks so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me, Kerry. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me come on this.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this conversation, in part because it was less than a month ago that your Oakland Ballers brought a title back to the city of Oakland, and it's year 2 for this franchise. It's already a remarkable achievement, remarkable accomplishment. When you think about the season that you just had, 73 wins in the regular season, a Pioneer League record, a championship in Independent League Baseball, what stands out to you most in terms of the memories that you made?
Well, there's a lot of things that stand out. It's a long process between putting the team together and figuring out what's going to be the best mix, and we're going through it all over again. But right now, I think the most satisfying thing is the fact that you're trying to win a baseball game every day, and then next thing you know, you realize you have a good team, and you don't want to mess that up, and you want to continue to go through the grind. For me personally, being from the East Bay, I said this at the when we had the parade, but I have a lot of the same baseball memories that a lot of the fans that come to the games do, being a guy from the East Bay and an Oakland A's fan, and so to be able to again, make those memories for my players, the coaching staff, the front office, but for the fans in general, especially those hardcore Oakland fans, to give them back something that was so good to me, being an Oakland baseball fan and enjoying all those Oakland baseball memories that we had. And for me to be able to provide another one for them was amazing.
As I was preparing for this episode, I actually sat down and watched your speech, and you talked about watching Rickey, Henderson and Dave Stewart as kids, and kind of the memories that you made going to the Coliseum with your dad, and how, you fell in love with the sport, playing catch with your dad. You talked a little bit about his influence on you, and obviously he passed and wasn't able to see this season, but just what was your relationship with him like as you began your journey in baseball, and how significant was it that, you were able to bring this title home, knowing that it would have meant a lot to him to see it, and it does mean a lot to the family that you've got here?
Yeah, I think every baseball player, and not to gender it up too much, but I think most everybody starts with a catch with their dad, and so I just he did it all for me. I mean, he put a batting cage in my backyard, developed a work ethic in me, and provided did it right. I mean, I think you have to build the passion for the game, but at the same time, he pushed me in a way that I was able to get the most out of my ability. So he did it in a really good way, pushing the right times and creating that passion, which was ultimately, if you look at all the hard work that I put in, if it doesn't seem like it's hard work because you love it, then you're in the right spot. And I think that's what it was for me. As far as I was fortunate enough after my career to come home and do a league, the Pacific Association, when I was with the Pittsburgh Diamonds. My dad and I got to experience that together. He would have loved this season. It would have been amazing. And, my mom was able to be there too. So she got to, I think, live it for him. And, it was very special. And there's nothing like experiencing the game of baseball with your parents who have done it with you your whole life and who have seen the journey, from start to finish.
Yeah, so well said. And I mean, one of the things that struck me when I was out at Raimondi Park earlier this year, talking to you and talking to your players, was your roster with the Oakland Ballers was built up of so many guys who were from the East Bay, who were from the Bay Area, and they talked about what it meant to them to have their family and friends in the stands, like guys who played at Cal State East Bay or Berkeley, and to have their old coaches come out and watch games. Could you feel that when you were building this roster, that it was important to have a lot of local players for an independent league team?
Well, there's a couple reasons you want it. For one, we got to house these players, right? And that's in the East Bay, in the Bay Area, it's not is exactly inexpensive to, cost money. So anytime you hit with a local player, you might be saving some extra money. And, some of these guys lived in the apartments too. I'm not going to say that the local players didn't, but it's special on a few different. I mean, for one, you want that local flair. You want to be able to say that you have those local players. It's unbelievable. I mean, Isai Santos being from Berkeley, he might have had 30 or 40 people in stands almost every night, which was great. And you tack that on to we had 7, 8, 9 guys that were from the Bay Area. And it's not just because they're from the Bay Area. I mean, in pro ball, we tend to say that most of your pro baseball players from California, Texas, and Florida. So we're definitely the California side, and the Bay Area is providing a bunch of talent. And so why not look in the Bay Area? And we know that those guys are going to maybe want to stay and play in front of their family, stay close to their girlfriends, and be where they've been their whole life. So it's a win-win situation for us. And we sure did hit on some really good players this year.
Just 2 years into the existence of the Oakland Ballers, but can you provide some perspective for us on if Oakland and where you guys play your games, kind of bordering the Bay, gives you an advantage in the independent league? There are teams from some very interesting places in the Pacific Northwest. There's teams in Utah and Montana, and you guys have the advantage of being in a big city. But I think also to what you spoke about, having players who are from the region, who grew up playing some really competitive games in high school and then collegiately here. Does it give you kind of a built-in advantage in the league, you think, being the team from the major city?
I do believe. I mean, there's been some players that we've acquired that were scared of the big city as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, hopefully they wouldn't be scared if they were in the big leagues and playing for the Giants or, the team that used to be in Oakland. Obviously you want to play in the big leagues, but, there's a few advantages, and definitely one of them is the fact that we provide a big league city that, if you've, a young player that wants to experience the culture of the Bay Area and, California, and you've been trapped in the East Coast your whole life. We had some players that were from the East Coast that absolutely loved their experience out here. And, it was life-changing for them to come out in the West Coast and be out here and do their thing. The other thing is the Pioneer League has adopted the pay rate where you have to get paid the minimum wage of the state or the county. And so we're one of the best paying teams. It's not going to be the deciding factor by most of these guys, but definitely helps. That being said, and then, California baseball players are usually better than players, all over, if you're Boise, what's the population of that town and that area that, a local player wants to play for? Sure, there's some guys out there, but, we just have that advantage. The other advantage in the Pioneer League is we play at sea level. It's a tougher place to hit. And in the Pioneer League, it's a hitter's league. And so, we have a few advantages that we like to play with. And, after 2 years now, we know what they are.
Yeah, I just want to paint a picture real quick. This is something that fascinated me when I was out there talking to you guys in August and September. What does the typical week on the road look like for you in the Pioneer League? Obviously, you've got 6 home games and Raimondi Park turns into a party every single night. But when the Oakland Ballers hit the road, what does travel look like in independent league baseball compared to, say, the minor leagues or the major leagues?
Well, usually happens on a Monday because that's our day off that we do not play. So we play, Tuesday through Sunday. So usually we're either flying to a city, like say we're playing in the Glacier Range Riders and they're in Kalispell, Montana. We're going to get on a plane at around 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday. That usually means the bus is leaving Raimondi at 5 in the morning, maybe 4:30 in the morning. So, we enjoy our Sunday that we play there. get a quick sleep in and get to the park by 5, have all of our luggage there, bus over to the airport. Probably we're going to have a layover. So we're going to fly into Portland. We're going to fly into Vegas. Hopefully, the next flight out is on time. We've had a couple delays where it's been tough travel days, but usually 2 flights. We'll get into the next city probably around 6 or 7 on a Monday. Head to the hotel and wake up and have start our series.
Yeah, it's a grind. And I could tell, even in the waning days of the regular season, your players loved it. They embraced it. And you talked about how, some guys are playing for minimum wage in the state. You've got these long travel days. How do you as a manager keep the team focused and keep the team committed toward its ultimate goal? Because I think it's a different challenge than what you've got in the majors when these guys are making significant money. You played Major League Baseball. You understand the differences in the sport. What is the difference in your job when you get to August and September and keeping guys focused?
Well, I think ultimately they're playing for, the prize at the end. And that is they all want to be major leaguers. That's why they're playing. And some of them on the team notice that, that might not be in their future. And they just love the game and they're good enough to play professional baseball. But most of them are playing the game because the dream is still alive. And that is a powerful thing. It is what has made them work out their whole lives. It is what made them, want to go the extra mile. And so I think equally the love of the game also gets them up and their, accountability for the competitor that they are. If you know that you've probably got no chance to play in the major leagues, but you love playing this game, you might, you're just as dedicated as the next guy. It's the accountability and the competition that you love. And so, one of the things that is great is with my job is that if they don't do well, I can get rid of them. So, we don't have $100,000 or 200 or $1 million invested in these players. These are independent players. They are really close to as good as some of those guys that are in affiliated ball that have that money invested into them, but they don't. And so, really they need to perform on the field. And that's what, creates their development is they get written in the lineup and they get put in the game. And as long as they have that, it's a pretty easy ship to ride and keep going in the right direction. We won a lot this year. We won a lot last year after I got done taking over, and it was a good team before that. But, when you win, as most managers will say, winning takes care of a lot. And I think as long as you treat these players with respect, you treat them as they are their own business, they don't have to be here. They're here because they want to be here. And they are only making minimum wage. It's not like they're making a king's ransom. So, if they're not playing well or if they don't want to be here, it's easy to move them on out and get somebody in that is.
So you told me back in August that, you've got guys in the independent league that throw 100 miles an hour. You've got guys who can hit 400 feet home runs, but it's a little different in that they don't do it consistently. You also said something that really struck me. When you're managing in the Pioneer League, when you're managing the Oakland Ballers, it might be closer to managing a major league team than, say, someone down at AAA managing or someone down at AA managing, in part because they're taking orders on who they have to play. They're taking orders on which pitchers need to get into the game that night to prepare them for a big league level. You are simply trying to go out there and win every single game. Does that strike you as more fun than, say, the jobs of some peers that you may have who are working in the minor leagues right now?
Absolutely. If you're a manager, I think independent ball is the closest thing to the big leagues. And I mean, obviously, if you're a AAA manager, you depending on the organization on who they like, you might be one bad season away from being the big league manager. But as far as day in, day out, winning a baseball game and putting what you think is your best chance to win a baseball game, independent ball is the closest thing to the big leagues. Obviously, college baseball is, the coach plays who he wants no matter what. But, in the minor leagues, in affiliated baseball, you have, John Smith is supposed to hit third every day, and that he's going to hit third no matter what, if he's in a big slump or not. And that's where he's going to hit, or he's going to hit second or first. And so is going to pitch 5 innings today, and he's not going to throw over 85 pitches, whichever comes first. And so you're handcuffed in how you can try to win a ball game, because the minor leagues in affiliated baseball is not about winning. It is about developing and creating big leaguers, also creating guys that you could trade or sell. So it's not necessarily about winning, which is, kind of takes away a little bit of the fun and a little bit of that competitiveness that we all as baseball players love. I would hate to manage a game in A ball and be told everything that I have to do. I mean, there's a lot of good things to love about affiliated baseball, but at the minor league level, at the low level especially, being handcuffed like that after I've been in charge of an indie ball team and I have control of everything, that would be tough to deal with.
Who influenced you along your way to becoming a manager? I know that you played in the big leagues for several seasons and obviously a long career as a utility infielder. You worked in another independent league. Who did you study and who helped set you up to prepare you for this job as the manager of the Ballers?
I'd say I'd learned from everybody that, I played for. I mean, when you're a young player and you have a minor league manager, hopefully he's saying the right things to you. I had some good ones in the minor leagues, but by far, the biggest influence on me, especially now that I am a manager, was Tony La Russa, and my time with the St. Louis Cardinals. And I was a quasi starter. At times, I was more bench than starting, and I really, really tried to focus in on what it was that he was thinking. I never wanted to be surprised that I was getting in the game. I never wanted to be like, oh, God, Aaron's getting in the game now. Oh, I didn't see that one coming. So I really, really focused on paying attention to the moves he made, the National League style of ball back then. Obviously, there was no DH back then. And it's just fascinating to know all the moves that are going to be made, the thinking ahead that is done. And there's still plenty of thinking ahead that has to be done nowadays. You have the 3-batter minimum rule that, provides another aspect that wasn't there when I was playing. But Tony La Russa, definitely. Dave Duncan, I'm not a pitching guy, but I when I recruit players and I recruit pitchers, I often say, what guy can say that he stood in on 150 mound meetings with Dave Duncan? There's not many guys that can say that they've done that. And so I have that experience. I have the experience of, paying attention to one of the greatest managers in the history of the game. And I try to emulate what he would do. And the players are the ones that win the game. And Tony used to say it all the time. I'm just trying not to mess it up.
Tony, obviously a legendary storied career in Major League Baseball, brought a title back to Oakland. Aaron, now you as manager of the Oakland Ballers have brought a title to the city. One of the things that really strikes me is the way that when you're out there at games, you and your team are engaging the crowd. I mean, and this is from the moment that folks walk into the stadium to ceremonies held before the game to walking through the stands after the game. How cool is it to be able to kind of have the direct relationships, I guess is the best way to put it, with your fans who show up at Raimondi Park on a nightly basis?
It's been amazing. There's always a pride in, look, as a major leaguer, there can be times, and, I was not Jim Edmonds or Scott Rowland or Albert Pujols, but, there were times when you're signing so many autographs that it can be like, oh man, this is, how many more do I have? And then and then you're not in the game anymore, and you're not there, and then all of a sudden you're like, boy, I wish I could sign an autograph and feel like I'm special. And you get that feeling every day at Raimondi, and the fans there love you just as if you were a major leaguer. For some of these minor league guys that just got out of college, they're superstars, and it feels good for me to walk through those crowds and be asked to sign an autograph, and to know that I'm creating a special memory for them as they're feeding my ego a little bit too, and that I can still do this and still be a part of what people love about the game of baseball, and the closeness that happens, in the minor leagues, and especially with what we have in the Oakland Ballers, where we walk through the crowd before the game, we sign autographs before the game, we shake hands. If somebody you've seen for a while, you give a hug to them. Some of there was a couple there that brought their dogs, and they were like 13-0 when they came, and a couple of the players were like, I got to pet this dog before, I got to pet this dog. It's good omen, and so we you got very close with the fans, and you saw it at the end between the playoffs and how they showed up, and then with the parade at the end of the year. It's a big fan base. It's a real big, consistent, the faithful fans that come every day, day in, day out. We know those people by face, and it's a high five or it's a sign an autograph, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing to see. 73 regular season wins, a Pioneer League record, a nail-biting playoff run with some extremely close calls, and you guys persevere through it all. You bring the title back to Oakland in year 2. So I guess my final question for you, Aaron, is what does the next step in the evolution of the Oakland Ballers look like? What is the next chapter of this franchise for you? How are you thinking about 2026 and moving forward?
Well, I tell you what, we set the bar pretty high this last year. I think it's just continued success, and it's not only of the Brian Carmel and Paul Friedman just set a standard of what they're going to give to the fans and what they're going to give to Oakland. I'm not talking about the wins and losses. I'm talking about the experience that it is to come to an Oakland Ballers game, the quality of the food, the continuing to make the amenities better, and to keep this thing going in the right direction. As far as the baseball is concerned, we want to continue to show that the Oakland Ballers are going to put out a great product, and we're going to figure it out. Whether it's not always easy. You bring these guys into camp, and you have to see what you have, and you have to make the changes that are going to keep you at the top of the league. And so we're going to be true to that. I think that it's a beautiful thing that the fans know that now they've got a product, a team that's shown they can win. And so it provides a little bit of pressure for me and the coaching staff to deliver again. But we love that pressure, and that's why we're competitors and we love it. And so I think the Oakland Ballers are hitting on multiple levels, providing a great fan experience and providing a winning product. And I love it, and I love the pressure that brings.
The most successful professional baseball team in the Bay Area this summer, the most fun. I was out there, had a great time. Aaron, wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Thank you very much, Kerry. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.